me this, Batman. When is going on one direction actually travelling in the other? And when is soaring above the clouds actually very comfortable footwear in the summertime?
That's easy, Riddler. When Blizzard flip-flop and do a complete U-turn, I'm flying in Warlords of Draenor.
Okay. Apologies for those terrible impressions at the beginning of the video. But yeah, some really interesting news has just broken in relation to flying in Warlords of Draenor, considering the veracity, he says, bigging it up a little bit, the veracity of Ian Hazzard-Sosos's previous interview where he said there is going to be no flying in Warlords of Draenor. There is most likely going to be no flying in the future going forward with World of Warcraft, except maybe in certain specific areas. And then within, a couple of weeks of that, we've suddenly had a tremendous flip-flop, and flying is coming to Warlords of Draenor, folks. So I'm going to deconstruct this water cooler, coffee time moment, whatever they want to call it. I don't know. Ooh, should I call this section of videos deconstruction? And I'm going to bring up the actual pure text from Blizzard, so nothing can be taken out of context here. The pure text, and we're going to go through each little scrap and see what we can get hold of. I do like doing these. You know, come on, Blizzard, can we have some more water cooler moments and stuff? I like this. I like this kind of stuff. Coffee with the devs. That's what they call it over here, I believe, in the UK. Right, so let's just go through the first paragraph, the introduction to what they're going to announce. And they've put, "We appreciate the spirited discussion on the topic of flying." Do you fuck? You've just been smashed in the forums for 2 weeks. The subject has brought out passionate viewpoints and sparked insightful conversations on our official forums and blogs, on community sites, and in chat channels. As it echoes, people have just been twatting you. But I love the way that they phrase stuff. It's so beautiful. They're just saying, thank you for all your solid points of view. And if you just go to the forums, it's Jake from Hertfordshire going, "I fucking hate you! I fucking hate you, Blizzard! I'm never playing this game again because I can't fly!" And then they turn it into insightful conversation. But bless you, Blizzard, for doing so. "Your feedback has been a valuable part of the ongoing conversations with Blizzard as well. And today, we'd like to share some updated plans for how we'll handle flight going forward." Well, first of all, feedback, maybe. I definitely think that has contributed. I reckon, though, that the only way that Blizzard kind of truly listen to stuff, because we know how obstinate and stubborn they can be, is through the subscription numbers. And I've got a feeling that when they announced no flying, I reckon they had a right unsubscribe fest from the World of Warcraft. That's the only thing that I can legitimately think would cause such a dramatic U-turn, because Blizzard knew that the community was split almost 60-40. I think it is, as regards to flying, no flying. You know, that's some hefty numbers that they're juggling with there, because when the community is so near and even in their thoughts and feelings about, passions about a certain topic, yeah, if you go one way, you're just pissing off the other side. So they knew what they were getting into. So I think the only real thing that's made them sort of go, woo, and U-turn almost immediately is sub numbers. They lost 3 million recently. I reckon this has caused an influx of people going unsub. So I think this is one of the things that's facilitated, shall we say, this change of heart. Of course, this is all speculation. It's just all speculation. All right, so let's carry on now. No, wait. Before I do though, Law just tweeted out as well saying this, by the way, this post is the reason why we didn't have the Q&A last Saturday. And I mean, I had a little bit of a prod in his ribs where I said, nice try, but it was actually the Heroes of the Storm event. And he was like, nice try, but it really wasn't. And we just had this little exchange on TwitTwat. But I do think there's a little bit, I say to him, I think there's a bit from column A and column B. I do think that there's a certain sense of truth there. The fact that they cancelled the Q&A because maybe there hadn't been some cast iron decision and they needed that. I also think that they absolutely did not want to have the Q&A, which was going to be partisan. Let's not, take that out of the equation. The Q&A last Saturday, if it happened, was going to be partisan. The people in that chat were going to be baying for blood for numerous things, not just flying. There was going to be blood bayed for a lot of things. And then they had this rather huge Heroes of the Storm announcement where they're saying, we're bringing new cash things into cash for you to buy. And then said, that there's going to be new maps and heroes and yada, 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 yada. And Heroes of the Storm is getting good press from Blizz. It's good press for them. It's had the eSport event on ESPN, which was massive, and that is a massive stepping stone for gaming. Full stop, becoming recognised as an esport, and it's been well received for all intents and purposes. Heroes of the Storm has actually been well received because it appears to appeal to a lot of different demographics, and they're very happy with that. They are very happy with that indeed. So to have that kind of coincide with this event going on while on the other side of Blizzard Entertainment, there's tomatoes and lettuces being thrown in as Costas and Law for the Q&A. I think there's a little bit of truth in both of that. I think it was postponed because they didn't want it in any way, shape or form to be related to the Heroes of the Storm event, to be associated with the Heroes of the Storm event, and also possibly as well that nothing cast iron had been made with this decision. So now we can go forward. This is a deconstruction video. We've got to go into these things. At the heart of the initial plan to restrict flight in Draenor, even after players reach level 100, lies the design goal of providing the best moment-to-moment gameplay possible in the outdoor world. Now, I absolutely agree with this statement from Blizzard, 100%. I think that you can construct the best content possible for your game when you are grounded. I think it gives more flexibility to designers. I think it gives more options to the designers. And as soon as you introduce the aspect of flight into those options, they get withered down quite drastically because people can simply, by the aspect of flight, bypass it. So yes, I do believe in that initial statement 100%. Ian then goes on to say, from navigating the lava flows of the Molten Front in patch 4.2 to breaching the Thunder King's stronghold in patch 5.2 to reaching the heights of the Ordon Sanctuary on Timeless Isle in patch 5.4 to uncovering secrets deep within Gorgron's jungles on Draenor. Well, that started off absolutely fine, and then whoa, were you clutching at straws by the end of it. Yeah, he's absolutely correct. Molten Front in patch 5.4 wouldn't have worked half as good as it did if you could fly. Because the whole aspect of a lot of that was fighting your way through mobs or trying to negotiate your way through mobs to get to whatever daily quests you were wishing to perform. The same with the Isle of Thunder in patch 5.2, one of the best patches I think the World of Warcraft has ever created, full stop. Timeless Isle was, the Isle of Thunder was so well balanced that they dramatically cut down the amount of dailies. They had some very interesting segments of the Isle, and then of course you also had the Stronghold, which was getting breached phase by phase. You put it this way, you added flying into that dynamic, it wouldn't have worked anywhere near as good as it did. And, say what you want to say about Timeless Isle, love it, hate it, just net about it. I think it covers all those criteria. If you added flying to Timeless Isle, you could have bypassed everything, You really could have just bypassed everything. Flown straight over to the Ordon Sanctuary. Flown straight over to the Ruby Lake, or whatever it's called, right at the top. Just flown up to those peaks on those little mountains where you could just grab the treasure chests. It wouldn't have worked half as good. One of the fun elements I thought about Timeless Isle was when people called out rares like Hulon's up and stuff like that, and people would like charge, and you'd see this influx of players charging to try and get to Hulon in time to maybe get a hit on it, and the potential of the mount dropping and such. So those are very good examples. I absolutely agree with Ian, but this uncovering secrets deep within Gorgron's jungles, Ian knows just as well as you and I know here that he was absolutely reaching here. He couldn't have come up with a good example for Warlords of Draenor because there has simply not been the content in Warlords of Draenor to justify that. It's not as if he could say, oh, I don't know, oh yeah, to jumping from Apexis Crystal Daily Area to Apexis Crystal Daily Area in Draenor. No, goodness gracious, no. He would have touched that with a barge pole, because you can't even compare this horrible Apexis Crystal grind at top level, which is pretty much all we've got to do, with, you know, wonderful aspects like the Molten Front. Yeah, the Molten Front was grindy, but the game was slightly different back then, and even for those days, the progression was quite a new thing. The way that it opened up further dailies and further areas and all that kind of stuff. That was you know, quite pioneering in those days, for World of Warcraft at least anyway. And Timeless Isle and Isle of Thunder, they cannot compare to Apexis Crystal Daily Zones. Yeah, I think Ian really tried to latch onto something, or maybe just fly under, no pun intended, fly under the radar when trying to give an example for Draenor, because there is simply not the content in Warlords of Draenor to justify the grounding. To be perfectly honest with you, and I'm a person that believes that relevant content you should be grounded on. I absolutely believe this, but even I, with that point of view, can see that you can't justify that. You can't justify that in Warlords of Draenor because it simply hasn't got the content to warrant it. World of Warcraft is full of memorable moments that are only possible when players explore the world by ground. And as we've continued to develop content over the years, we've focused more and more on providing players with these kinds of experiences. Now, Blizzard are quite correct with this final statement as well. They have definitely been trying to produce content over the course of the last few years where a player is experiencing it from the ground only. And the examples that we've just used in the previous statement there, from the Molten Front to Timeless Isle, with the Thunder King chucked in for good measure as well, they are prime examples of this. This is content which was specifically designed to be experienced at ground level without flying in any capacity being thought about even for the future. These areas were clearly constructed, grounded, with a full stop at the end of it. And fair play to them, because I do believe that they actually worked properly, and they worked better from that point of view, from the ground-only point of view. However, while we firmly believe that keeping your feet on the ground is a key part of discovery in WoW, we also recognise that breaking free, oh I love you Queen, from those restrictions can be fun and rewarding as well, especially for those who've already fully experienced the game's world content. I think I can rather succinctly put that into a sentence. There's nothing to do in Warlords of Draenor. No, seriously, it really kind of boils down to that almost. If you're not raiding, your choices in Warlords at top level are unbelievably limited. I mean, it's not as if anyone's like raring to go every time that they log on to the game to get out into the next Apexis Crystal area to grind. Nothing like that whatsoever. In actual fact, we joke and we joke and we joke about feeling very insular, very exposed, almost cabin fever-esque in our garrisons. There's no social contact. There's no social element to the game at all. It feels as if we're in this MMO RPG on our own. Literally on our own. So to experience the world content, what world content? Unless you're raiding, there isn't any world content for you. Unless you want to grind Apexis crystals. It's dull as chuff, mate. With that in mind, we're planning some changes in the near future that will allow players to enjoy their hard-earned flying mounts in Draenor, we'll get to you in a minute, in a way that doesn't compromise the excitement of ground-based exploration. Now that's that end bit, the latter half of that. The excitement of ground-based exploration was decent while leveling up, because we not only had the new zones to explore and the quests that were taking us to the various areas, of course, but when you completed a storyline in a zone, you could unlock the treasure map, and you could go to the faction hub, purchase a treasure map, and that would show you where all the treasures were hidden in that respective zone. I really liked that. I did really like that a lot. The problem was, though, when you reach level 100, almost immediately after reaching level 100, those treasures were defunct. That treasure hunting element really was defunct, because bar maybe a couple of items in Nagrand, there was nothing that was going to advance your character end game. There's nothing that was going to enhance your item level. There was nothing that was going to make your character more powerful. You weren't going to get experience points from discovering these anymore. So the only thing that you really got from it was sometimes some greens or blues just to trash or sell, smash down into profession resources, or you might have found some garrison resources, the odd garrison resources, which may have helped in the construction of 1 or 2 buildings, but beyond that, not a lot. The actual level 100 side of ground-based exploration was, well, it was non-existent really, wasn't it? And that's such a shame. So if we go back now to the hard-earned flying mounts, this is something which I believe Blizzard really didn't think about. And although I said at the beginning of the video about there was this huge hue and cry, I believe, from the community, which Blizzard maybe weren't expecting at all, I absolutely believe, and I'll go into it further towards the end of the video, as one of the reasons why they've done their U-turn. But another reason is the Blizzard store. And again, this is a genuine thing here, because Blizzard had just released the Mystic Rune Saber, and they'd shown it flying. Their image for it, their promotional image, was it flying in Shadowmoon Valley. Now, I did a tweet to Blizzard saying, I think Trading Standards would be pretty interested in this, considering you've just announced that you can't fly in Draenor or future expansions. And I'm not saying that my tweet facilitated anything. I'm not so vain as to think that. But a couple of days later, the image had changed, and it was no longer flying in Shadowmoon Valley, but it was on the ground, rearing its hind legs up in Talador, I believe. But even then, that image had to get changed because, was it rearing up its rearing up its legs because it was like ready to roar, or was it rearing up its legs because it was looking to take off and fly? And I think there's implications about that. So they had to change the image once again to the Mystic Rune Saber on all 4 paws on the ground in a Warlords of Draenor zone. And I said in my fuck flying video, or flying fuck video, you can take it either way, it was a double entendre title, that how on earth could Blizzard justify creating flying mounts for their store when they had taken out flying? It's going to be a hard sell to people, no matter how sexy a mount looks. It's a hard sell. Hi folks, do you want to buy our latest flying mount from the Blizzard store in a game where you no longer can fly? That's going to turn a lot of people off purchasing these mounts. It's just a true story. It's just simple economics, folks. I'm sorry. But that's what it boils down to. It does boil down to a fiscal equation as well as a community equation. You have got a very difficult sell to say, yeah, well, you can show off your flying mount by hovering in Orgrimmar or hovering in Stormwind. And then somebody goes past you and you're just like, hey, look at my new freshly bought flying mount. And the other person just goes to you, sorry, can't talk. I'm off to fight Ashara, grounded in the latest expansion, where your flying mount would just be as grounded as my turtle. Or whatever. And they're just like, not fair. So it's a very difficult sell to try and push people to buy flying mounts in a game where you can't fly. So I think that has also got some aspect to it as well. And because Bashiok had said, in no uncertain terms, tough titties, folks, we are going to be releasing these Blizzard store mounts on a regular scheduled basis, whether it be every 6 months or wherever it may be. But we're 8 months into Warlords of Draenor. We've already had 2 store mounts already on offer. Okay, the next paragraph's a biggie, folks, so let's all suck in some air. In an upcoming public test realm build, we will be introducing a new meta achievement called Draenor Pathfinder. You'll earn this achievement in patch 6.2 by mastering the outdoor environment of Draenor, exploring Draenor zones, I think that's a check already, collecting 100 treasures in Draenor, pretty sure that's a check already, completing the Draenor Lore Master, still need to do that, and securing Draenor achievements. That's ambiguous, we'll get back to you. And raising the 3 new Tanan jungle reputations to revered. Are you wankers? They're horrible. Initially, this achievement will award a Rylak mount, the Soaring Sky Terror, one of the native beasts that roam Draenor's skies. That's interesting, we'll get back to you as well. Players will remain ground-bound on Draenor until a small follow-up patch 6.2. When all players who have earned the Draenor Pathfinder on at least one character will unlock the ability to fly in Draenor on all their level 90 plus characters. Wow. Huge bit of information to kind of assimilate there. Number one, the thing that I thought was quite ambiguous was securing Draenor achievements. I don't know what achievements, so that's really ambiguous at the moment. We don't know what achievements they're going to attach as well to this Draenor Pathfinder, which kind of also gives you some idea how quickly this has been pushed into effect. No, but it does. It kind of gives you a legitimate idea about how quickly they kind of like have put this together. So was this a decision that was made very recently? Definitely sounds like it. Definitely sounds like it. So, yeah. So the thought of some of the criteria for the meta achievement. They haven't thought of others. So there are still other Draenor achievements. I tell you what, if any of those achievements are raid-based, there are going to be some pissed-off people. But I can't see them being raid-based. Or can they? Oh, don't want to put ideas in people's heads. And then, of course, the raising the 3 new Tanan jungle reputations to revered. I'm not a massive fan of these new factions which have come in on the PTR for patch 6.2. I will do a video on each individually, so don't worry about that. But one of them is pretty much just fully an Apexis Crystal grind. It's just like doing Apexis Crystal dailies, plus just massacring some demons or indigenous life form or Iron Horde. There's very little questing involved there. Another one is predominantly just doing 1 quest a day, which gives you a lot of rep, though. It gives you about 1900 rep for doing this 1 quest a day, which is to get those 10 shards off elite mobs. Rare mobs, I should say. And then also there's an Emperor Shao Hao element where I think you can drop a banner down that you can purchase from them when you've hit Honoured or something like that, which will allow you just to kill creatures and you'll get probably shitty amounts of rep for doing so you can Emperor Shao Hao the rest of it. And then the third one is the Saberons, I think they're called, the kitty cats. And again, they've got an Emperor Shao Hao element to just killing them, gets you crappy rep with them. And then there's a few quests, a few daily quests, and some sort of challenge quests which are attached to them. I haven't really done too much of that, so I'm going to sort of hold back my point of view on that one for the time being. But definitely 2 out of the 3 are pretty... so yeah, that's going to be fun to do. Not. But this is the big one for me. The fact that it's going to reward a Rylak mount. And the reason why I say that is because the only Rylak mount you can get in the game at the moment is from the Blizzard store. And I think this is in response to Bashiok's really callous, arrogant, pig-headed response that he made to somebody as regards to Blizzard store mounts. Saying, no, they're coming, whether you like it or not. Hashtag get the fuck over it. Also, Blizzard store mounts are going to be unique. likelihood is you'll just get recolors in game, because we don't want people to get confused with what's a Blizzard store mount and what's an in-game mount, because we want people to go, oh, what is that beautiful thing over there? And people to go, oh, it's from the Blizzard store, of course. And they go, oh, right, yeah, have my money, have my money. You know, that didn't go down too well with people either. Surprise to fucking surprise. So I think this is in response to that, saying, no, folks, look, we are going to give you an in-game mount that you can obtain. And the fact that you can get this and it's on the Blizzard store, we don't mind. We don't mind. We're sure you're not going to get confused. Here, have it with our love. Have it with our grace. And all that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of in response to Bashiok's real callous comments the other week as well. They're really on a sort of repair mission here, I believe. Damage limitation repair mission. I think they're really wanting to try and appease as many corners as possible moving into the Q&A. This coming Saturday. And then the final aspect of it, which is really is also, not only will your character be able to fly, but any character that you have that's level 90 or above. I could kind of understand level 100, but level 90? Wow! So again, you know, it's not as if leveling is hard at the moment, not with all the potions, not with the elixir, the 300% elixir coming in as well in patch 6.2, which is going to make it even more insanely easy. Plus all the heirlooms. You know, it's crazy easy to level a character from 90 to 100 at the moment. Takes no time. It's going to take even less when you're on a flying mount, just going whip, 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 whip. Holy shit, Blizzard. Honestly, God, seriously. Although I'm not subscribed at the moment, I am running out of characters to level up. I think I've already done 7 in this expansion so far, because I've been and 6 of them. I honestly know 5 of them I think have been done since 5.1 when you did the heirlooms. Because there's nothing to do apart from level halts in this X pack. So I think I've only got like 2 or 3 more characters that are level 90 or above. I can push to level 100. What on earth am I going to do? Oh my god, I'm going to start leveling up characters in level 1 again. No! But yeah, that's quite interesting. Level 90, you'll be able to fly. And also, flying in Tanan Jungle? That is that's going to be current content. So how long is it going to take until they release patch 6.2.x? Is it going to be 2 months down the line? 3 months down the line? A week down the line? Yeah, it depends when they release this 6.2.x. Are they going to like keep Tanan Jungle grounded for 2 months, 3 months, then hit the patch, then people start flying? But it kind of surprises me a wee bit. I can understand all the other zones apart from Tanan, but Tanan as well? Whew, okay, that's... okay, not going to say anything else. Right, let's move on to the next part. We believe this strikes the right balance between ensuring ground-based content lives up to its full potential, while providing players who've already fully experienced Draenor's outdoor world extra freedom to break the rules. This also, don't know what that means, this also provides a general blueprint going forward for content to come. Players will explore new and undiscovered lands from the ground, and then once they've fully mastered those environments, a notion that continues to evolve with each new expansion, they can take to the skies and experience the world from a new vantage point. Thank you for your heartfelt feedback. We'll see you in and soon above Tanan Jungle. Okay, now yeah, they definitely have struck a balance here. And I'm, you know, from the idea that they put forward, I like the idea of this meta achievement. This is not an easy meta achievement to get in terms of you're not going to turn up on day one likely and get it all. Oh, you never know. It's going to be something which has have to be ground out a little bit. It's going to take a wee bit of time. With the 3 Draenor reps in Tanan Jungle having to get pushed to Revered before you can fly as well. That's going to take some time, so we're not going to see people flying immediately in Tanan Jungle. And even when people do start to complete the meta, I'm not sure it's all going to be all at once either. I think we're going to see a filtering of players beginning to take to the skies. How this is going to affect PvP rounds, I'm not sure, because I'm on a PvE realm. But there is currently, like, next to no world PvP, really, is there, in Warlords of Draenor. So maybe this may actually force some, admittedly, in a bit of a horrible, ganky kind of a way, but it might actually do that as well. But yeah, all in all, that's, that is fair enough. And I like to say the way they say this is going to be the general blueprint going forward, because this seems like a more rational, thought-out plan, as opposed to no flying in Draenor, no flying in future expansions. It really does kind of make that interview a couple of weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, look really stupid. Just look really kind of dumb and ill thought out. And then suddenly, when they've had the reaction from the community, then they've actually got their heads together and come up with something which makes a wee bit more sense. I think this is what I was going to allude to earlier in the video. I'm going to discuss it now. I think what Blizzard didn't quite take into consideration was, although there is this really close kind of 60-40-ish split between people wanting flying and people not wanting flying, what they didn't take into consideration is people like me, who believe we should be grounded in current content, we're not leaving the World of Warcraft because we can fly. We're not saying, fuck you, Blizzard, we can fly, unsubscribe. We're not doing that. We're just saying, it would probably be better if in relevant current content we be grounded. That's what we're saying. It doesn't interfere with how we play the game. Sure, we might want something different, but it still doesn't affect us. We can still choose to fly or not to fly. When you suddenly say to people, no flying, then suddenly the other side of the equation, which does want to fly and isn't bothered about current content being grounded at all, they're happy with being able to probably go through leveling without flying and then being able to fly after they hit top level, they get pissed. Because it's not like the people who don't want flying have anything taken away from them. There's just actually an additional element to the game. Whereas people who want to fly, if you say no flying, you're taking that away. That's where you get the sudden people saying, right, well, we're fucking going then. We are going then. Because you're actually physically removing something from them, whereas you're not removing something from the other 60% or the other 40%. They're just saying we would actually prefer it grounded, which kind of makes logical sense there. So there is that element which wasn't taken into consideration. One half, although they believe something, isn't leaving the game because of it. The other half, when you take it away, suddenly is. And this is way more comparable. This seems like a compromise. Yes, you are going to be able to fly. Yes, it's going to be tough for you to be able to do so. You're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to be able to do so. But once you can now experience the ground from the content from the skies. Which doesn't necessarily mean in patch 6.3, when we might get Farallon, there is a possibility now that we could get Farallon in patch 6.3, that you'll be able to fly on Farallon. It depends kind of how far Blizzard want to go, because there doesn't seem to be too many shades of grey with Blizzard. They kind of like put all their chips in or just fold their hand. It's not as if they kind of seem to play a longer, smarter game here. But I would be absolutely fine again if in 6.3... we arrive in Farallon, just for argument's sake, and we're grounded there as well, because it would be the current content with which to experience that. So yeah, this seems to make sense. This seems to be a lot more logically thought out way. Also, they've decided to bring it to the community in a water cooler post or in a coffee with the devs for us here in Europe, which is the proper way to approach your community, not by announcing some, complete massive overhaul of the game in the third-party interview, which was just dumb. Just really dumb. And if they don't understand that now, they never bloody will. So this is the proper way to go around things. And I personally, well, I'm like I said, I am surprised about the Tanarn jungle, being able to fly in Tanarn jungle. But again, we don't know when this patch 6.2.x, which will allow the flying, is going to come into effect. So again, there's a bit of ambiguity about this. It sounds okay, it sounds comparable, but there's still a little bit of ambiguity. We don't know what the additional achievements are going to be to allow flying. We also don't know when 6.2.x will initiate. It could be 1 month after the release of the patch, 2 months, 3 months. We're not sure on that. We're not sure on that at all. But I'm sure that Blizzard will allow Tanaan Jungle for some period of time, for X period of time, to remain purely grounded content. It's amazing what Blizzard can do when they just, think about stuff through fully. So yeah, as a person that would prefer to be grounded in current content, I'm happy with this. I do think this is a compromise that will appease the vast majority of people. We're not going to see flyers straight away, and then when we do, we're probably going to start to see a steady stream of flyers. But I'm on a PvE server, so it's not going to really affect me too much either way. You still can't fly in tunnels, you can't fly underground, and there's plenty of little caves here and there in Tanaan Jungle to explore. It's definitely going to make the zone feel a lot smaller. It is definitely going to be a lot easier to jump from Apexis Crystal areas to Apexis Crystal areas, because, again, not much outside of just an Apexis Crystal grind. It doesn't affect any of the content in as much as it doesn't improve any of the content. That's for sure. But it just would have been interesting to see a fly-only area brought in then. An area that you could only access through flying if they were going to do something like this. It's not to say that they won't in the future. But so it just makes more sense. Makes more sense. As somebody who likes flying or doesn't like flying, in the comments down below, what do you think? Are you happy with this compromise? Are you not happy with this compromise? It'd be intriguing to see. I personally can't see why too many people would object. And also, sorry, before I do finish, I must bring this up. Boy, have they put this at the right time, because they are going into the Q&A now on Saturday with a community that's a lot more placated. They're putting a community now that's going to be a lot happier, most likely from a huge proportion of it, going into the Q&A. So it could have a massive effect on how much fudge Ian's going to give us, in as much as he just really wants to promote patch 6.2 in his Q&A on Saturday, as opposed to really answer some tough questions. Maybe 90% of all the questions that we're getting on Twitter were just like, bring back flying! And so this is like, oh my god, this is it. This is all we're going to get in the chat on Twitter. So maybe there was a big sort of element there as well. So it'd be quite intriguing to see the atmosphere going into the Q&A. I think it's going to be a lot happier. I think there's going to be a lot more people who have been not so much vindicated or justified, but a lot of people that feel appeased by this decision. But thoughts, feelings in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to have to emergency as this, I think. Emergency as number 2. I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Those links are in the description down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.